So I want to bring this up because Trump did get a victory with SCOTUS. The U.S. Supreme Court gave the administration, the Trump administration, the okay to revoke special legal protection for Venezuelans under the Temporary Protected Status Program. It says order in pending case. So I guess
That
this is the
program is
order.
based to a great extent on an executive order, not an act of Congress. So yes, he has leave to amend a previous president's executive order since that has no legislative effect.
Mhm. Well, I think that's a good thing, because it's going to help expedite the deportation of illegals. Let me share that.
Well, basically, Venezuela was allowed to clean out its penitentiaries of its felons, including those who would return to its society. They were set up here, so now we have embraced them and we don't need to put up with their dregs. You can send them right back, or at least start the process.
Interesting about this is this was an 8-1 decision.
Yep.
The only person who voted against it, had a dissenting opinion in the Supreme Court, was Ketanji Brown Jackson.
That's right. We got Kagan, we got Sotomayor. And John, it's pretty unusual for the Supreme Court to really rule 8-1, and especially in the Trump administration's favor. But I will say that this is such a win for the American people. What this program did was really exploit the legal immigration system. We talk a lot about how Biden broke the border, but he also broke the legal immigration system. MS-13 gang members, Tren de Aragua, known terrorists, convicted murderers, human rights abusers, they all came in using this parole program. And we really have to not just look at the border, but also our legal immigration protocols and making sure we reinstitute integrity into them and that we're actually vetting the people who are coming into this country. And so this ruling is going to make the American people safer.
Just for folks at home who, so that they can know how many people came in, here's the stats: 110,000 Cubans, 211,000 Haitians, 93,000 Nicaraguans, 117,000 Venezuelans, for a total of 531,680. I assume that you'll start the deportations?
Absolutely, John. That'll happen immediately. This administration doesn't rest on their laurels. We get going. We know the American people's mandate is to get these people out of the country.
So 8-1, and it was Ketanji.
Head scratch.
Yeah, she was the only one
that didn't know what a woman was.
Would that be descendant when you don't agree?
This dissent, yes. One dissent, 8-4. In other words, they got, I don't know what a woman is.
Right. So she's very sympathetic to the illegals, but I
don't think she was the best choice for the position. I can think of several. Roger E. Clifton on the Second Circuit.
We don't need to go into her. I don't want to go into her.
What?
I don't want to go into her. I don't want to go into.
Well, I'm just saying it's not surprising she dissented. She's probably the least capable one that they had available for the appointment. More politically correct, though.
Well, speaking of, let me share this because I'm going to stay on this immigration thing here. So Representative LaMonica McIver, however you pronounce her last name, from New Jersey, Democrat, will face criminal charges for her alleged actions during a confrontation with law enforcement outside of Newark Immigration Detention Center early this month. Today, my office has charged Congresswoman McIver with violation of Title 18, United States Code Section 111 for assaulting, impeding, and interfering with law enforcement.
Impeding.
And this is by acting New Jersey U.S. Attorney Alina Habba. She announced this on Monday. Now, remember, over a week ago, we reported the mayor of Newark, Ross Baraka, was arrested when he was protesting in front of a immigration detention center. And now she is, and it was several other people as well, which is crazy, right?
Yeah, it's different than having a demonstration out on the streets. It's kind of like going up in a jail facility and deciding you're going to have one, or getting in there because of your electoral status and then clowning once you get in there. That's not very good.
Right. And my thing is, why are these Democrats, particularly predominant Black Democrats in these predominantly Black cities, they're going so hard for illegals?
Because they want the replacements for the people that they are supposed to be representing. They are not representing the people who vote for them. It's a fraudulent game.
Well, McIver was among several Democrat lawmakers involved in a chaotic scene that unfolded outside the Delaney Hall Detention Center,
We
which
showed that.
that was the mayor. This is
Yeah, but
something else.
there's in that whole thing at the same time, what we were looking at was not good for an elected official to be involved in that.
Right. Well, what I'm saying is it was 2 incidents. So it was his incident, and then they came back, other politicians with other protesters.
Yeah, I'm talking about basically the locale. It's not one it's not a public place.
No, it's not. Because I actually, when I was in college, so you take, these sociology classes. It was one of these classes because it was social science and social statistics. And we visited these detention centers and stuff like that. This particular, I think it was the one in Delaney, and we had to do a thesis and stuff like that. So just showing you, we went inside, and it was this nonprofit organization that we kind of hooked up with, and then they escorted us to one of the immigration facilities.
Like
The
all ye who enter here, like Dante's Inferno, uh,
well, when we
it's
went
not
in,
a land of freedom. It's not.
no, yeah, let me just finish telling my story. So when we went in, he was saying, you see how it's like there's no windows, which is really no windows, and you don't know it's like a detention center for the illegals, because where it's like in Harrison, New Jersey, but on the back skirts, where you have a lot of FedEx buildings and the trucks and stuff like that. So a lot of export deport companies, and then you have this building that looks just like a FedEx, but it's not FedEx, but it's a detention to hold the illegal. So we went in there, and this one woman, I guess she visits a couple other of the inmates, the illegal immigrants there. And so we was talking to one of them, and he was like, yeah, I've been here. I think he's been in it. This was years ago, but he said he'd been here for like 7 years, but he got arrested in Port Authority because he was drunk. And sometimes when you get drunk, you talk loud. So the cops approach you, say, let me see your ID. And I guess he didn't have it. And when they put up his information, he wasn't a citizen. So they took him in. But what I noticed is all these people there, right? They kind of rely on these nonprofit organizations, I guess, to help them. But the Muslims that was there, the Arabs, they didn't want no assistance from no nonprofit organization because they had lawyers, which makes a hell of a difference. So they didn't want any, what do you call it, social service assistance. The Arabs, no, they was like, I already got an attorney. I don't want to talk to you for what? Because, you get an attorney, you kind of get better results. So I saw that to say these people that's in there, the reason why they get picked up because they broke the law, but then when they do a background check and find that, okay, you're not a citizen, you're going to get deported. So I don't understand, what is the protest? Why are people protesting? You're protesting for what? You're protesting to have the criminals who just so happen to be illegal released? I don't get it.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't make sense when you try to think about it, does it?
Right, because
But what's that say about the people who are trying to get you to think it makes sense?
Yeah.
What kind of game are they running?
Right.
The game is this. I've said it over and over again. The president, being the chief diplomatic officer, can declare someone to be worthy of political asylum. All right. If they do that, that means they automatically become a citizen within 5 years of being granted that status. That means they don't have to go through all of the steps that ordinary immigrants have to go through to become American citizens. The president could say the time is indeterminate as to when they got this status, and had Hyena Harris Imhoff been elected president, she could have given a retroactive date of January 2020 as the date that they were given entry at the beginning of the Biden administration. That meant in when 2020 plus 5 is 2025, this year, they would become citizens automatically, even if they'd only been here 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, because they snuck in so nobody kept records on them. And that means that for the midterms next year, they would have been able to register to vote. Where are they going? To primarily Democratic influenced areas that are in danger of losing that status. So you would have a mass influx of quite a few tens of millions of people who would become supposedly registered Democrats from the effective date of entry of January 2020 and voting in the next midterm election. And the Democrats would be desirous of taking back control because they would have these new Democratic Party Democratic members of the Democratic Party. And that's what they were trying to do. I think that was their objective.
And the Supreme Court, like I said earlier, Supreme Court cleared the Trump administration to revoke legal status from 500,000 criminal aliens flown in under Biden regime. So these are the people that were eventually granted some type of legal status, whether it was asylum seekers or refugees or whatever, which they shouldn't even got in the first place because of how they came over here, and they probably didn't even qualify for it. But he has the authority to revoke and deport them. So yeah.
Years ago, when I was taking political science at UCLA, we studied extreme politics. And one of the processes of extreme politics is generating public disorder. So you break the whole system down, and that allows a tight cadre to implement their policies, which in this case would be Democratic, to take over the vacuum that had been created by just chaos in the American system. And you look at the cities that the Democrats control, they're islands of total chaos and confusion. So they are hoping that this breakdown in law and order and public peace and dignity would allow them to take firmer control of these areas so that they can keep the cycle going and stay in power, so they can spread their corrupt rainbow agenda through their rainbow cult affiliation rather than what is necessary to a healthy America. Black, white, brown, red, yellow.
Speak.